Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone. Welcome to Christy Iwuchukwu's TV show. And I am super excited to be coming to you today. But let me tell you about what the show is all about. This show is about spotlighting today's business leaders, entrepreneurs, unique and most successful individuals. And I'm so excited to be bringing you today no other than my friend, CEO CEO and founder, I can't get the word out, CEO and founder of JumpStart Your Marketing, Katrina Sawa. Katrina is an author, a speaker, and she really has been helping entrepreneurs get into their business, make more money, attract more clients by putting systems in place. So please help me and let's bring on Katrina Sawa. Katrina?
Hi, Christy. Glad to be here.
Hello. Thank you for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me today. So you and I met a few years back when you visited Speakers Bureau. You spoke at Speakers Bureau, Toastmasters, correct?
Toastmasters. I think I met Luana there too. And yeah, I met a couple really fabulous people at the Toastmasters that I've never gone to before. Was invited to speak, and it was really fun. And it was a really good meeting, I thought.
Yeah, and we have been connecting and talking, and I've been attending your networking events and some of your events ever since. So thank you for joining me. And today, you're really going to help entrepreneurs and bring themselves and their business to the forefront so that they can attract more clients and make more money. It's all about marketing. So, as I've always said, in any successful person, entrepreneur, business, any profession at all, there's always a story behind the scene. But oftentimes we don't get to hear those stories. We always talk about the accolades, but it really is the stories, the journey that got them there is where the lessons are learned the most. So can you pull back the curtain just a little bit and tell us how it all began for you?
Sure. And it'll come to fruition that it's not just about marketing, but yes, we will get there. Being successful is much more than that, as I know you know, and we all have to learn, right? So when I first started my business, I was actually in a marriage that was not so supportive. I thought it would be because my starter husband and I actually met doing door-to-door sales. And so I thought he was motivated. I mean, who else how can you not be motivated in your life and want to do entrepreneurial things if you're knocking on doors? I mean, anyways, it's a long story about that. But yeah, when I started my business, I was in advertising sales for the local newspaper here, and I would run into small business owners all the time that just didn't know what they were doing, and they would try to run an ad in the paper. I'm like, I'm not taking your money for this ad unless you do this, this, and this in their business, because it's not going to bring you any business if I just drive traffic to your store and you don't know what you do with your customers. So I was schooling them a lot on what to do. I realized I could do this on my own, and that's when I started my business. But a couple of years into my business, I was learning all these things else I could do. I always talk about what else is possible for you. When you start learning about being in business and listening to speakers and going to workshops and trainings and listening to webinars, and your mind just to get bigger and bigger and bigger with all these ideas that you can do. And when I was like wanting to go here and there and jive and travel and go to workshops and spend money, right, and invest in my business, it was not kosher for my husband at the time. He was like, no, you need to make money before you spend money. And I was like, well, I don't know how to make the money more than what I'm doing right now. I'm at a certain level and I can only go so far with the current knowledge in my head. And so I needed to learn more things. So that was really the tipping point to leaving the marriage and realizing that I couldn't settle anymore for someone who didn't support me, understand what I was doing, and even care to understand or care to want to understand. And we really kind of grew apart at that stage and became roommates. And it was just really sad because I'm all about love. and I wanted, so I left the marriage, which was a huge leap of faith, to go and, I bought a new house, and I went out on my own, and I didn't date for a while, but it's scary. You know, it was scary to leave that 2-income household for commission only in my job. So that's really how I got started. I was really successful in the local area, but there was so much more I didn't know, you know, and I was at a higher 5-figure, maybe like 60 or 70,000 a year, but that was what I was making in the job. And I was still working way too hard. So there was things I didn't know, and I didn't know how to get to that next level. And that's where, you know, a lot of the coaching came in.
So what would you share with us, you know, especially new individuals that going into business? There's a struggle about what is the foundation that they need to put in place right now. What do they need to put in place right now? And perhaps some of them don't have a lot of money to invest in themselves, but they know they have message. They have a message to share. They have talents, skills, and expertise to share. And yet, the one thing that holds them back is, what do I do now? Where do I get started? So, what can you share with our audience?
Right. So, couple different things. First, if you really need to make money, a lot of times people do come to me and say, okay, I can't even pay my mortgage this month. What do I do? Right. And there's some strategic things you can do right away to make fast cash. And number one is going to a live event, going networking, talking to people, picking up the phone, calling everybody you know, calling people that you've met in the past. Those are the fastest things. But in order to do that, you have to be first clear on what you're selling. And a lot of times people aren't necessarily clear on what they're selling. They might say, well, I'm a coach, or I do sessions, healing sessions, or I offer this type of thing or whatever, but they aren't really clear on the transformation they provide. So, or the process they're going to take somebody through. And when you're not clear on those two things, then your value doesn't necessarily come across in a conversation to make someone go, oh, I need that quickly. Like, I have a JumpStart Your Marketing system, right? So if someone says, I've been trying all these marketing strategies and nothing's working, I'm like, well, I have the whole system that'll teach you how to do that step by step on a lot of different types of ways to market. And it shows you templates and this and that. And so I'm explaining the process. The outcome is you'll totally understand what you're doing in your marketing, and you'll have more success. It'll be easier. You'll even be automating it. So I'm sharing the transformation, and I'm sharing the deliverables, so the process of the actual system. But a lot of people just say, well, I have coaching. I can teach you some marketing stuff and da-da-da-da-da. And that's too vague. Right? So getting clear on what you're selling so that it shows the value of to the person you're talking to, that they say, yeah, I want that now. Like, I want that. Like, just doing a session with me is like, okay, well, I can take it this month. I might be able to do it next month. Or how valuable is it? Or really what I'm going to get out of it? They don't understand what they're going to get out of it. If they say those things to you, then you're not showing the value.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You know, you hit it on the nail. Oftentimes we get into buying programs without really knowing the transformation that if you're not clear, knowing the transformation that the person that you're coaching is going to get, it's pretty difficult. And the person that you're investing in, of course, they also want to make a sale. And sometimes it's not that person's fault. So you're right. It really is about getting clear on what is it that you want to do. Who do you want to serve? What kind of transformation do you want to bring along through your coaching program?
Yeah.
So I'm going to follow up on that about, you know, with technology, you can almost Google anything online. And there's a lot of freebies. There's a lot of free webinars. There are a lot of free workshops. There are a lot of free events. And sometimes people get overwhelmed. People really get overwhelmed because you attend so many events and you don't even know which one is right and which one is not so right for you based on the market that you have chosen to go after. So can you share a light with us on the danger of freebies?
Right. Well, so every entrepreneur needs to have freebies, and it's basically the way you're going to try somebody out, right? So you want to look at freebies as an introduction to somebody. You don't necessarily want to use freebies as your training program or your degree, like in business, because they're not giving you everything in their freebie, right? And the thing about freebies, I mean, I have probably like 12 or 13 different freebies on my website right now on my resources page. And I have different topics because people are looking for different things. So I'll catch them in with different topics depending on who they are, what their need is right now, what they really want. But it leads them into the next thing, right? So as an entrepreneur, you need freebies, first of all. But as an entrepreneur looking to take advantage of freebies in order to help you grow your business, the thing that's missing is the order of importance. So the thing that's missing is that you don't know, like people might be saying, oh, you need a blog, or oh, you need to do your own change your website, or oh, you need to start podcasting, or oh, you need to be a speaker, or oh, you need to have an info product and create a program, or oh, you need to have a membership program. Those are all great strategies. But if you don't know which order of importance to put them in for your goals, to hit your goals, then you may not get to your goals because you might put the wrong ones in order of before the ones that are really going to make you more successful in what you're trying to accomplish. So what happens is the entrepreneur that's seeking information that consumes all this free information, they get all this stuff, but they don't know how to sort it and prioritize their to-do list and what to put in order of importance. So that becomes the problem. And that's why I think it's like critical that you get at least some one-on-one guidance with somebody who can look big picture to everything you're doing and that can show you that order of importance. And then you can maybe go take some additional learnings from different places, free or paid, in that order of importance.
I think you are absolutely right, because I too had an experience. So, you go to events and yes, that person, it's giving you information, but there are really foundation that need to be put in place before you are able to utilize those information. But oftentimes you don't know what you don't know. So you dive in and by the time you find out, it's really too late, right?
Yeah, or you've spent, $5,000 on something that's really an advanced strategy when you're still haven't done the beginner stuff yet. And because you haven't done the beginner stuff, you can't really implement the advanced strategy. And so you're like, but I got to do this first. No, you need to set this aside, come back to it later, go back and do the beginner stuff so that you can implement this correctly,
Yeah, absolutely. So I imagine that throughout your journey, there are things that perhaps lesson that you have learned that you can share with our audience.
How much time you got? Yeah, there's unlimited amounts of lessons. I learn lessons all the time. Because I keep learning. This is October. I've been at 6 conferences in 6 cities, 7 flights in 6 weeks. So I've learned a lot in the last 2 months that I'm now imparting to either my team to do stuff for me or my clients to get stuff, or my event that's coming up. Like, what am I going to download into the people that's new content? And it's crazy. Yeah. So there's constantly new stuff, and you do have to be up on it to a certain respect. You don't want to be up on everything. Again, order of importance. You got to stay focused with what you're focused on today. So if you're focused on list building, in order to build a community of people so that in 3 months you can launch a program or a product, then you need to focus on list building. Don't get swayed over here with this thing and that. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but.
Well, yeah, you did answer my question, but I'm going to follow up on that. Take me back to, I'm getting into business today. I don't know anything. What will be in order of importance? What do I need to do? 1, 2, 3. Can you help us and share?
Well, I mean, any coach is going to tell you get a coach, because otherwise you're going to spend the wrong. Because I can say, okay, we'll know what you're selling, but you may not know the options of different things that you could sell. You may not know that you could have a membership program or a mastermind program, or that you actually could do a live event. You might think, oh, that's 4 years down the road, when it actually could be this year. So you may not know what you don't know if I just say, know what you're selling. But knowing what you're selling is the key. And then knowing who it's for and why they should care is number 2. And then going out and finding those people is really the key, is number 3. So it's that easy. Now, there's multiple things to know about each step of those, right? So what are you selling? Well, there's 15 or 20 different business models that I can put out on a buffet for you, and talk pros and cons with somebody, like why they should do this one over that one, etc. And then why we pick one-on-one versus a membership program, or vice versa, or why we do a webinar instead of a teleclass or whatever, right? So you may not always be able to decide that for yourself without a little bit more information, is my point. And then you get into the marketing and you're like, okay, well, there's 20 different marketing strategies that I teach. How do you know which ones to do first and which ones are going to waste your time? Like, going after publicity is great, but they don't always bring you immediate dollars, right? If you get on TV or something locally. So getting publicity isn't necessarily the one thing. Writing a book is awesome. I mean, everybody should have a book. But is it going to bring you immediate money? No, it's going to cost you money immediately. So, and it's going to take a lot of your time, because you're going to be downloading, oh, we're going to write this book, right? So you're going to be, I don't even know where to begin, because there's so much that someone has to know.
Is there one tool or a system that, I don't know anything about technology, but I'm now on Facebook, I'm maybe on social media, or besides Facebook. And I come to you, or maybe I can't even afford you at this point. But what can that person do? They're just coming in, they don't have much money. In terms of what system would they need to put in place just to make, and I think you touch on it, to make fast money?
I would say an email marketing system. So you need to build an email list. And so you need at least a few pages of a website. There are places you can go that are less expensive, like Weebly, or I don't really like Wix, and I don't like GoDaddy, but Weebly is good for really free websites. It's not somewhere I would stay long term, but you could start there for free, or $8 a month. Whereas WordPress, you're going to pay a little bit more for a theme, and you're going to need a designer because it's kind of more complicated. But at least you can put an opt-in form and build a list on there, and then it hooks up to MailChimp, Constant Contact, one of those. And that's the best system, so that you can follow up with people via email. So get them on the list, send them emails, and start building a relationship. That's probably the number one system. But that's coupled with a website, right? So, because you can't live without a website these days. So.
Okay. I'm learning all that now, that you need a website to be able to funnel people through, and that makes a lot of sense. And you need a freebie, making sure that the freebie that you're giving people, it solves a problem for them.
Yeah.
Because it's not just any freebie, making sure that the freebie solves the problem of your avatar, correct?
Right. For sure. It has to be very tailored to the problem that they're having.
It has to be very tailored to the problem that they are having. So I know that you have an event coming on. Can you share with us a little bit of that event? What are you expecting, or what should people be expecting when they come to your event?
Well, mine are very tactical. So we get into that nitty gritty of what to do, but it's also not too big to where I know everybody in the audience, and I can tell, and give people advice for their business. So, you know, whereas you go to an event that's maybe 100 or 200 people and the person on stage doesn't know everybody in the audience, there's no way that they can do, let's say, hey, Luana, I want, you know, you need to do this next. And Christy, you need to do this next, you know, whereas I know the audience. So I can literally do that usually by day 2 or 3 and be able to say, no, you shouldn't focus on there. You should focus here, and be able to even tell them things like what to say and stuff like that. So it's a little different, but we get down to the tactical. It's more of a training and an actual workshop, not just an event with some speakers. And you guys know you've been there, but it's all about jumpstarting your business, where you are now to where you want to be, and give you that next level advice. And there's always new content. Like I said, I'm bringing in tons of new content for this next one about podcasts and webinars and technology, because I know a lot of my people are not that techie friendly. And so I try to ease them into technology things, but with the easiest things possible that I'm learning. Yeah. So, but it is coming up quickly, and we don't have much time for registrations if anybody's interested. But I do 4 events a year, and I'll have 4 events next year as well. So there's always the next event. Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking forward to that event as well. So I am going to piggyback on what we talked about. You brought up webinar. So can you share with us in what way can webinar be useful to somebody, a business person?
Well, a webinar is one of the biggest things that a lot of the online marketers are using these days to get people into their funnel, so to speak. So a funnel is where somebody wants to try you out with your free thing, and then they get taken through a series of either web pages or emails back to web pages, which will get you to either buy something. Usually it's a low price thing to start out, and then they might try a higher price and then get you to their signature system or their live event or their coaching or a phone call with somebody. So you want to get people in that funnel as an entrepreneur, but also you will be taken through a funnel. And a webinar is a very common thing to offer for free these days for those types of funnels.
Okay, so you're saying that a webinar can be used to attract your prospects into your funnel.
Yeah, and some people are doing live Zoom type things like this, and I do these things as well, where I'll get on and I'll talk to some people. I might actually screen share a PowerPoint or some other information, which is quote unquote webinar, stuff. But some people go straight to the webinar, and there's not a lot of interaction at all. There's a lot of different ways you can do it these days.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. And then we move into social media. There's the do's and don'ts of social media. And if you are an entrepreneur and you're trying to build your list using social media, but you don't really know how to do it, what can you share with our audience, the best way to get the result that you are looking for?
Well, I would say, number one, you want to engage. So you want to really figure out how to give value back to the people following you, the people in the groups that you belong to. You want to answer questions, give resources and links, and not just promote your stuff, but like share other people's stuff and really give value and engage, number one, so that people start paying attention to you. Like, oh, she always gives good advice on whatever she has to say, or, on this question and that kind of thing. Or, or maybe they see you in a group and they see you answering questions and giving value, and they're like, oh, I want to know who she is. And then they go over and follow you or link to connect to you or whatever. And so that's what you want to do, is you want to build that trust and good natured person on social media first. And then you can be strategic with actually getting more friends and or followers or likes to your page, etc., or people to your group. Having a group is a good thing to do these days because it builds community. So if you are trying to build your email list, I would also say you want to try to build a group of a community in Facebook or LinkedIn as well. And then finally, it's one-on-one. So a lot of the success that my clients and I see is when we use my social media messaging strategy for messaging people one-on-one. And I tell you, we did it for about a week and a half during when I was gone and traveling, and my calendar just filled up like crazy with phone calls. So the strategy that we use is a message that gets people to want to have a conversation with me, and then they get taken to a scheduler, and then I get booked, right? So how many people want more phone calls and bookings, right? Whether it's for a prospect or a referral source or a joint venture or collaboration, we just want to talk to more people so that we can see what else is possible, right? So yeah, we had to stop doing the strategy. And a lot of my clients find that after they do a couple weeks of that strategy, it's like they have to halt it because it brings in a lot of leads, and then they can start it up again later.
So you talked about the private messaging on Facebook. So how does that come about? Is it somebody that is watching you and reading your comments and you helping and providing value, and they will contact you? How does that work? How do you get those individuals?
Well, there's a couple different ways to find out lists of them. You can actually do searches. You can go into groups. So if you belong to a group of 1,000 members, and let's say they're all speakers or something, and you're a speaker and you actually work with speakers, or it would be good to collaborate with other speakers for whatever reason and joint ventures, right? So there's 1,000 speakers in the group, and you're a member. All you have to do is just go to the member page and message and copy paste and send this message into all their inboxes in there as a message, private message. Whether you're a friend with them or not, you can still message most people. Now, there's lots of cautions to this, because if you don't have my script and what I actually send in the message, and if you don't heed my warning and not message more than 50 a day, then you could get in trouble on Facebook. So.
Oh, okay. So because I thought maybe I have to be friends with that person first.
No, you can do
it. That if I
search.
send a message, they won't get angry at me.
Well, not if you write the message correctly. That's the thing. A lot of people will send messages these days and go, hey, I'm having an event. You should come. Here's the link. Or, hey, I want to invite you to my webinar. And I don't know you for Adam, but here's my webinar. I thought you might be interested in learning how to boost your sales. And they send it out to a sales coach or something, right? Because they don't know what they're doing. So, no, you don't promote your stuff like that. That's not about promoting. So I've been doing this for over 5 years, and so we've really perfected that message. So it's getting that wording correctly. Otherwise, you could really, make a bad name for yourself, and it would really do the opposite effect, which is bad.
Wow. You have given us so much. Really, you have given us so much. And I want to talk, that reminds me, in other words, don't be a taker, is what you're saying. Right.
Well, just don't be focused. It's not necessarily a good strategy to do. That social media messaging strategy is not a good one to do if you are needing money fast. That is not a fast cash generator. That is a long and steady marketing strategy that's going to bring you people to talk to on a regular basis to do bigger and better things with your business. So definitely not a fast cash. If you want fast cash, that is not what to do. And I see people doing it all the time.
Yeah. It's about developing a relationship. And if it gets you where you're going to collaborate with that person, then that's fine. And sometimes it doesn't work out, then you are not meant for both of you to work together. I absolutely agree.
Right.
So you told us about what you have coming on. Is there any other thing that you want to share as far as how our audience can get a hold of you and want to work with you? Because as you've stated, having a coach is important. So oftentimes when you don't have a coach, you're all over. And what would you want to share with our audience? Give out your contact information so people can contact you if they would love to work with you.
Yeah, well,
take advantage of this.
Thank you. Yeah, everything's on the JumpStartYourMarketing.com website, JumpStartYourMarketing.com. And if you want the free stuff to try me out, go to the resources page. If you want to check out what events are coming up, and what you can participate in or where I'm speaking, etc., go to the events page, right? And if you want to talk with me, there's a Start Here page under my About. And that's a questionnaire where you would come and have a conversation about coaching possibly and how I can help you. And I do that for free to people who are serious about really jumpstarting their business. Also coming up, not only is there an event in November, but I just added a monthly 2-hour masterclass. So it's 2 hours of me doing this on Zoom, but me coaching people and spot coaching people. And then you get to listen in on all the other things we're talking about with everybody else. And I'm capping it to 30 people at every call. Right now there's a few less than that. So there's plenty of time for me to have attention on anybody who has an issue. And I'm doing those for under $100 a month. So it's actually a very reasonable cost. And soon, if you get on the email list, I'm actually going to be offering a deal for the whole year for next year of all the master classes, all the live events, and a couple other things thrown in for a pretty reasonable cost too.
And you also have a podcast coming on, right? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the podcast is probably going to start in January, I'm guessing, just because it seems like we can never, my list of things to do is not getting done fast enough. And, but yes, it's called Love and Money. So I do a live event called Love and Money Live every year. And so the podcast is going to be Love and Money Podcast. And because I love to show people how to get more love in your life and money in your business. And, you know, love plus money equals happiness. So the more love and money we can spread around the world, the better off I think we'll all be. And so any stories that are going to be about people and their love and money experiences, I'm working out the segments now and how I really want to structure that, but it'll be fun.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. And I hope to bring you back again so you can talk about your other business, which is about love and relationship. I would love to bring you back to talk about it. And hopefully I'll probably see you next month during your networking event. So
I'm sure we will. Thank you.
Okay.